Well, it's a contentious story of Akbar and Anarkali, and I have with me two actors with tremendous screen presence essaying those roles, Mr. Naseeruddin Shah and Aditi Rao Hydari. Thank you so much for talking to me today. Thank you. Thank you. Loving the swag, sir, in this interview. You know, what really intrigued me about this particular story is that it is told by people from across the globe. The director is from elsewhere, the writer from elsewhere, the DOP, the HODs, they're all from across the world.
Yeah.
This gaze, I'm sure it's going to be a very interesting one, but also it's strange because it's a story so rooted in our Indian subculture, in our culture.
Sure.
So what did you think about it when you were first offered this?
It was very refreshing because they had a completely different take on it. See, no Indian thought of making a film on Gandhiji. It was an Englishman who thought of doing it. He told it in a conventional way, of course. He made a typical Hollywood film out of it. But the fact is, no Indian had ventured into that territory at all, which is strange. So it's not so puzzling that so many people from across the globe have decided to participate in this venture. The writer, the director, the DOPs, the costume designers, etc. But I think they brought a very original and un-Indian take to this story. The dialogue is not the usual flowery, Persianized kind of stuff. It's almost like everyday conversation. The relationships are presented in a very modern way. The anxieties of kingship, the dangers of having brothers at war with each other, the grief that the father feels, plus his own personal life, his wives, his concubines, the conquests he's made, the kind of changes he wishes to bring about in the country, where he wants to actually make a syncretic society, which is an assimilation of all faiths. All these things I could empathize with thoroughly. Otherwise, Akbar is only normally presented in our movies as this, goody two shoes.
As a great emperor.
As the great emperor, the compassionate, merciful
But
man.
sir, don't you think that's changing
now?
Now the editorialization of Mughals, with that from being known as kings and emperors and known as invaders, villains.
Yeah, which is an injustice. The trouble is people can't distinguish between the Mughals and the Turks who came before them. The Nadir Shahs from Persia and the Mahmud Ghaznavis from Afghanistan. These were brutal, bloodthirsty people who only wanted wealth. And they came here, looted and went away. The Mughals did not do that. And so the vilification of the Mughals that is going on right now is terribly unfair. Even that of Aurangzeb. If you really study history, you'll find that Aurangzeb was not a bigot. He was a religious fanatic who believed devotedly in his religion. And of course, he was merciless to his own brother. Had Dara Shikoh succeeded to the throne instead of Aurangzeb, the whole of India might have been different. This seed of animosity between Hindus. The funny thing is that Aurangzeb's army was commanded by a Hindu, and Shivaji's army was commanded by a Muslim.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a historical fact.
So I wish you taught history to me in school. That's what I'm thinking, listening to him talk. And why didn't they teach history to me like this in school?
Like a story.
They didn't, And in fact, the histories that we were taught were also faulty.
Yeah, because it's written by the victors.
It was written by the victors.
Or even written by the creators of the art, be it the movies or the plays or the books.
Yeah.
So
this had a very refreshing and original take on it. And that is how I felt. I would like Aditi to know what Aditi felt when she read it.
Yeah, Aditi, what did you feel?
But I really like what you said. History is also about what you want to tell at that point and what you want popularized at that point. And very often it's the people themselves who create these histories or have people created for them. We all do the same thing even today as actors.
With our own memories as well, even as people.
Yeah, it's true. And there are so many interpretations of that same incident. And that's what actually I liked about this script. was that honestly, when I first heard that, you know, there were some people who wanted to approach me to play this, I was like, Anarkali? Am I mad? Why would I do this? Madhubala is Anarkali, Mughal-e-Azam, now what? But like, please, I'm going to get back. Bye. I'm going back to Chennai or wherever I was shooting. And then it's only when the director and the writer and all, when I met them and I heard them speak, that I was so it was so refreshing, as Sir said, because it's just different. It's a completely different narrative. It's a different perspective, and it's so nice to, you know, to see that it is true. That is what history is, right? You might have dates and facts, but what about what the humans felt at that point? Nobody wrote that. So that is an interpretation of a creative mind. And also when people come from the outside, especially when they're viewing this as a story, they're viewing it as a story about human beings with very complicated and interesting lives. And then they create a script or a show out of it, and it's because of the versatility, that word.
Yeah.
Of
Universality.
Universality.
Yeah, that's a lovely word.
I'm going to
That's the
say
point,
it too.
yeah.
Universality of this story that attracted them. And then for us, because as you rightly said, like we are so culturally connected with this whole tale, and of course because of Mughal-e-Azam as well. But here is a bunch of people who are telling it the way they see it. So it makes it more exciting. Also, it takes the pressure off you.
Yeah, it's a
You're
new
like,
take. It's
okay,
a new take.
come
And your
on, let's do this.
interpretation.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's just, it's fun.
But as an actor, when they approached you for such a character such as Anarkali, which is so seminal,
Yes.
and I feel even non-actors
Use the
would have-
words iconic.
yeah,
epic.
would have danced and mouthed those dialogues. I feel, is this one of those roles? Those
Yeah, I think
characters?
it's a very tough job because, see, I don't know if it's ever occurred to you, there's no portrait of Anarkali.
Because
There are
it's-
portraits of
yeah,
Noor Jahan, there are portraits of Mumtaz Mahal, there
Yeah,
are portraits of
anyway.
this one,
That's
Jodhabai,
true.
etc. There's no portrait of Anarkali.
Because
Because she was a
fictional.
She's
bad
fictional.
girl also.
She's fictional. So she is a creature of the imagination, you know, and nothing can match one's imagination.
Exactly.
So that is why I feel that Anarkali is probably the most difficult part to play because it has to match everyone's imagination.
Yeah, you
know?
have to.
I do this play in Urdu, Ismat Choghtai's stories called Gharwali, which I recite myself, and it talks about this very desirable servant woman who this old man later marries. And many times people say, okay, but wo, you know, Lajo is her name. He was saying कि जब शुरू हुआ तो I was hoping कि लाजो आनी चाहिए स्टेज पर, लेकिन 10 मिनट के बाद मुझे लगा कि नहीं आनी चाहिए.
It's so
Because people
amazing.
build
Because
her
he
up
had his
so
own
much.
Lajo.
Because it becomes finite. What you can think becomes finite.
Finite.
Yeah, that's
and it may
true.
not live up to what you had
Yeah.
expected.
It can't. It can't.
So
Because
that's
it's your
exactly-
own unique
yeah.
Which
creation.
is why so often when you read a book and then people watch the film, they feel
Feel
They're
like the
disappointed.
book was
because
better.
their
Yeah.
imagination got
Stuck in,
Yeah,
it's with
in
the
that book.
There
Exactly.
are very few books which have made great movies. In fact, I can't think of any without deviating, apart from maybe The Godfather, or Gone with the Wind. I can't think of any others.
basically
Yeah.
like Anarkali, I'm doomed. So, damn it.
So, but I don't expect at this part in your career you are daunted by anything. So the prospect of Akbar was perhaps not daunting to you. What was it?
For a little while, because of the definitive way it's been played by Mr. Prithviraj Kapoor.
Absolutely.
But I thought I'll have a crack at it if I don't have to play it like that. I'm not physically suited to play it like that. If they needed someone physically suited, they might have gone for a Jackie Shroff or somebody, you know, who's very, very handsome even now, and looks very sturdy. But I wasn't daunted by the prospect of playing the emotional parts of it because I could connect with them. And I hope it will not be compared to Mughal-e-Azam in any way, even though it's somewhat the same story. But the depiction of all Akbar, Salim and Anarkali is quite different from what it was in Asif Saab's film.
So this story has actually been given by historian writer Anand Neelakantan,
Yeah.
and then the writers have worked upon it. Would you say when I talk specifically of the gaze, is it going to be a Western gaze to an Indian story? Not that necessarily there's anything good or bad with it, but is it a Western gaze?
I guess so. I guess so. What would you say?
100%.
I think so.
Yeah.
Does it make it more international? Does it make it more global in appeal?
I
Or
hope-
how does that improve a project?
Well, the director, when we first had a reading with the other actors, I said to him, because the dialogue was written first in English, and I said, this dialogue sounds like it's out of The Sopranos or something, you know. So he said, yeah, but that's exactly what I want.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want this kind of sardonic, brief kind of dialogue. And though there's no swearing in it, obviously. I don't think the Mughals were used to swearing, or if they had very long,
very
Farsi
flowery, very flowery swears.
flowery swearing, yeah.
I'm sure, yeah,
Yeah,
would love to
polite
know.
swearing.
I would love to know.
Nobody's
how
seen
they
now,
would
nobody's
say.
written this.
I wish they
We'll
did.
never
yeah.
know.
I wish there was. But we don't know what kind of swearing they were. It would be the equivalent of blue blistering barnacles, you know. 100 thundering typhoons.
Yeah.
That kind of
It would
stuff.
be very literary. I would love to see Gulzar Saab have a crack at that. That would be quite something.
That would be
Actually, what
something,
fun.
So this was shot, I found out last year.
Yeah.
And it was shot, parts of it in Jaipur, parts of it on a set.
Jodhpur, Udaipur.
Jodhpur and Udaipur, and parts of it on
On
a
a
set.
set.
When you are part of a story that's been told so many times, it's also very immersive. Even when I read something which is, completely set in an atmosphere like that, maybe a book about the Mughals, I feel when I get out of it, there's a sense of loss or something. Does that happen to you as actors when you are so immersed in that? After it gets over, what happens?
I feel a sense of relief that it's
Oh.
over. One does get immersed while working, and this whole business of a character staying with you and all, I don't.
You
buy
don't
it.
agree with
No,
that?
I don't buy that.
None
at
of your
all.
characters stayed with you, sir?
No,
Only with all of us?
Sure, they've stayed with me. Ghalib has stayed with me. Bernard Shaw has stayed with me. The character I played in Masoom has stayed with me. But I wouldn't say that it has changed my life or it haunted me or anything like that.
No.
In fact, it haunted me in a good way. Ghalib haunts me because I read his poetry now, you know. And Masoom haunts me because I remember it was the first time that I could make friends with children. I didn't like children much before that, until the experience of Masoom. So that did change me and did affect me. But it's not. I mean, I don't like this talk of, oh, I couldn't get out of this character for years. No, come on, don't give me that.
So, but maybe I feel you're a thespian. You're somebody who's now entrenched. You know it. You know,
See,
like the back
no,
of
it
your
is.
hand.
It is basically just wallowing in the memory of what you think was a great performance.
Okay, you think there's some pride.
Yeah,
involved,
there's
and
ego in it. That this character followed me around. No character follows me around. Does any character follow
Oh
you
my
around?
God. Now after
You're
this, how can
haunted
she
by any
say?
character?
After this, how can she say that?
No, why?
you-
I'll
you
say.
accept
I'm
her.
why? If I feel like that, I'll say. No, for me, 100% not. Oh my God! Once I'm done, I'm done. But I do have I miss the feeling of being on a particular set or being around people. I miss that, the atmosphere, or just like, okay, I want to go back to Manisa's set, or I'm dying to work with Sanjay sir again because I just enjoy that process. That I miss. But characters, no.
No, they're not haunting you either.
But like, now we're all on Instagram and whatever, so people keep like, like suppose this girl I played called Leela in Manisa's film, that people keep posting about.
In Katravelli, we
Yeah, and I love it, I enjoy it. But it's not like I'm
You
like,
are missing her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do feel later though that a lot of girls I've played, they're just so lovely. They're really nice
Ethereal,
people.
yeah.
No, not the way they look. I don't mean that. Oh God. No. I just mean they're just very like lovely girls. So sometimes there's certain things about them that I like that, and I'm like, oh, why can't I learn this? Or there's nothing more than that.
Interesting. And also, I can't let you guys go without talking about the kind of confrontational scenes you have in this, because even in Mughal-e-Azam, those were iconic scenes between Akbar and Anarkali.
Yeah.
How did you play that out? Sir, I'm sure you...
It's quite different. The depiction of the relationship between Akbar and Anarkali is quite different from
I think
what
there's
it
some
was.
creative license as well
Yes.
taken. Yeah, I know.
Well, no one knows. because, as I said, Anarkali could possibly be a combination of many of his concubines, but the confrontation is not as fiery as it was in Mughal-e-Azam. It is more cynical, where it is evident that Anarkali dislikes being kept captive, being kept, in seclusion and so on. And so Akbar is terribly disturbed when he finds that she's fallen in love with his son. But the confrontations are not fire and brimstone. They are more of,
Simmering.
Yeah. Under the surface kind of thing.
Yeah.
I got a glimpse of that in the trailer, and to play it of him, I'm sure even Anarkali was nervous when it came
in fact,
Akbar.
100%.
Yeah.
That really helps, honestly.
Exactly, right?
Because, nervous and also I find like, for somebody like Anarkali at that time, however much she might want to say something to the person, like what you said, like that thing of it being cutting and really subtle because of the tehzeeb, I think also makes sense, to not reveal everything that you probably want to take on a knife and stab the person, but you're not going to say it, and also there's a kind of dignity and
poise and elegance,
yeah,
and all of
on
that.
both sides, because even for Akbar, like he was genuinely fond of this human, and I mean, let's not get into the story, because I think that you should watch. But there was this kind of connection that was there, which it was like couldn't break away, but was there and had to deal with it, and there's so much happening. I thought it was very interesting, and yes, it did help that I was dying before walking onto set, but I have to say I was comfortable very soon after walking onto set.
Now my time is up. I have so many more questions, but for all the answers, I'm going to watch this series.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Best.